I want you to do something for me. Picture the most perfect version of your country. A place where every single cent of public money goes exactly where it's supposed to. To schools, to hospitals, to roads. Imagine a place built on total trust. Got it? Okay, hold that thought. But you know that beautiful future, it often gets stolen. There's this universal problem, this dark thief called corruption. It absolutely cripples nations everywhere, just draining their potential and shattering the trust between people and their leaders.
So a lot of us think, right, we think corruption is just a failure of laws, that if we just had better rules, the problem would go away. But what if that's not the whole story? The blueprint we're looking at today says it goes way deeper, that it's really a three-part failure. A failure of character, a failure of strategy, and a failure that leads to this deep, corrosive cynicism. These are the three real enemies we're going to be tackling.
Right, so the problem's bigger than we thought. And really, getting our heads around these three core failures, character, strategy, and cynicism, that's the absolute first step if we want a solution that actually works.
And lucky for us, there is a solution. It's called the Triangle of Transformation. Think of it as this really elegant three-part blueprint specifically designed to repair each one of those failures with its own special tool.
Okay, so the first piece of this puzzle is all about building the will to fight. It's based on a book called Paalala ni Lolo, which actually means a grandfather's reminder. And it's all about creating that moral foundation, that solid character you need to just say no to corruption.
All right, next up, we've got the way. Because look, passion is great, but it's not enough, right? You need a real strategy. This part of the plan, the art of smart tactics, gives us the strategic playbook to actually go up against a corrupt system and have a real shot at winning.
And that brings us to the third tool, which tackles the wound. This is so important. It's about that deep emotional burnout, that cynicism that makes so many good people just throw in the towel. The self-rescue playbook is designed to give you the psychological stamina to stay in the fight for the long haul.
All right, let's really dig into this first pillar, shall we? Building that unbreakable moral will.
When you boil it all down, corruption is a simple choice, isn't it? And this part of the blueprint, Paalala ni Lolo, is designed to flip that choice on its head by grounding us in some simple but really powerful, timeless values that put the public good first.
So how does it do that? Well, it breaks down into three core ideas. First, you've got integrity and honor. Pretty straightforward. Your word actually means something. Then there's pananagutan. It's a Filipino word, but the idea is universal. It's this deep sense of accountability for your actions that turns you from a bystander into a guardian. And finally, there's this brilliant, simple concept they call kitchen wisdom, or huwag kang magsayang. The idea is, if you're taught not to waste food at home, why on earth would you be okay with wasting the people's money?
Okay, so once you have that moral foundation locked in, we move to pillar 2. Because, like we said, it's not enough to be good, you've got to be smart.
And this is a really crucial point. Corruption isn't just a bunch of random greedy acts. It's often a highly strategic system run by people who know what they're doing. They're tacticians. So to beat them, you have to become a better tactician. That's exactly where the art of smart tactics comes into play.
And this playbook teaches you 3 key skills to do just that. First is discipline and self-control, which is just the raw ability to resist taking that easy, corrupt path. Then there's calm thinking, the power to manage your anger and make clear-headed, strategic decisions when all hell is breaking loose. And finally, and this is a big one, building allies, because you just can't win this fight alone. Real strength comes from standing together.
All right, on to our third, and honestly, maybe the most important pillar of all. This one gets to the heart of why so many reform movements just fizzle out. People get tired, and they give up.
I mean, let's be real. The fight is exhausting. It can feel totally hopeless sometimes. And that feeling creates this toxic loop of cynicism that just paralyzes everyone. The self-rescue playbook is basically the psychological armor you need to break out of that loop and keep going.
It gives you these incredible tools like how to emotionally step back from all that corrosive negativity. It teaches you to reframe failure. Instead of seeing a setback as the end of the road, you see it as data for your next attempt. And my favorite, it teaches you this unshakable code, to see the pain and the struggle not as something that buries you, but as a training weight that's actually making you stronger. So there we have it, the will, the way, and the resilience to heal the wound. The big question now is, how do these 3 pieces actually fit together to create real, lasting change?
It all sounds great in theory, right? But I'm sure you're wondering, okay,
But how does it actually work in the real world?
Well, it's designed to roll out in 3 clear phases. You start with phase 1, inner transformation. This is where you use the self-rescue playbook to build up your own psychological strength first. You got to secure your own oxygen mask, right? Then comes phase 2, core transformation. Here you use Palala ni Lolo to build a shared moral compass with your team or community. And once that's solid, you move to phase 3, system transformation. That's when you deploy the art of smart tactics to go out and make strategic changes. So see the pattern? It starts with you, expands to your group, and then you take on the system.
And here's where it all clicks together so beautifully. The entire framework is a perfect answer to the problem. Where there's a failure of character, this blueprint builds an unbreakable will. Where there's a failure of strategy, it gives you a strategic way. And to fight that crippling cynicism, it helps you forge unshakable resilience. Every part of the solution directly fixes a part of the problem. It's so elegant. And that brings us to this really powerful shift in how we see ourselves. See, the whole point of this blueprint isn't to make you feel overwhelmed by the problem. It's to reframe you as a tactician of change, fully equipped and ready to get to work.
So that leaves us with one final question, and this one's for you. Character, strategy, resilience. These are the 3 pillars. When you look at yourself, your community, or your country, where does your transformation need to begin?